YouTube world? My name is Nicholas Montez, and you're watching my YouTube channel, Nicholas Montez. Welcome back to another YouTube channel, everybody. I'm so excited to have you all back here together again. And in today's video, we're going to be doing something a little interesting today, because if you've noticed a couple of months back, I have been watching some of Jon Favreau's movies like Made and Zathura, A Space Adventure. The reason for that is because I am trying to watch all of Jon Favreau's movies leading up to a new ranking, because it's kind of an MCU ranking, but it's also just a movie ranking. So with that said, we're gonna go ahead and rank all of his movies. But before we do that, I have to go over the movies that I haven't seen, and then we'll go into the movies that I haven't seen. So let's go through the movies that I haven't seen. Alright, now let's start the ranking. Now for me, Iron Man 2 was such a frustrating movie because the action sequences are top-notch, the introduction of War Machine and Black Widow are of course fantastic, and the setup for like the Avengers and Thor are amazing, and the cast here is still great, and they still live up to their performances. But the problem here is that they just try to do too many plot lines with Howard Stark, with Stark's daddy issues, Whiplash, Justin Hammer, and setting up for the Avengers. And the thing is, you can't blame Jon Favreau for this. You blame Marvel Studios because they wanted to make it into 2010, not 2011. They just wanted to make the Avengers already. So, even though I don't blame Jon Favreau, it is my least favorite of his films, so it comes in last place for me. Now, Made is a film that I actually do enjoy, and that it has some great relationship between Jon Favreau and Vince Vaughn that I think works as a whole, where, Jon Favreau is like a family man in the film, and then Vince Vaughn is like kind of like the best friend of Jon Favreau, but like they're always fighting. It's just kind of funny in a way, but then it's so amusing, and like the way that they're kind of going on this trip and stuff, it's just amusing. But the problem here is that the story just doesn't feel clear enough into what's exactly going on, and it's just kind of perverted in some ways. So it's next to bottom on this list. Now, this is a movie that I saw a couple months ago, back in December, and I wasn't the biggest fan of it. I like the other Jumanji's movies more, and it was fun seeing Jumanji in space, but much like Jumanji 1, it just feels like you're just being in the house the whole time, and you're not really exploring the space world. So it's kind of weird, but overall, I did actually kind of enjoy it. Now, this is a film that really was probably the most divisive film of all of Jon Favreau's films. Now, first off, the CGI in this film is simply amazing. Every frame just looks absolutely real, and it seems like you can literally just hold one of these animals, and it's just so beautiful. The songs in here, I think the way they sing it, I think is great. And there are some humor. I think the standout characters here are Timon and Pumbaa, where even though they don't really express emotion, they express humor through their jokes. And I love that. I love the jokes that they do, and they're just so funny. But the problem here is that the movie is literally just a shot-for-shot remake, and plus the lions don't emote because they're live-action photoreal animals, so they can't emote. And I understand all the physics of that, but I wish they emoted. But overall, I actually do enjoy this film time to time. It's not better than the original film, but I still do like it. Now, this is simply one of the best Disney live-action remakes we've ever had. And to be honest with you, this is one of my favorites other than Aladdin. And it's just, first off, like Lion King, it's another beautiful film that takes the world of the Jungle Book, it takes the story, and it just makes it better with interesting characters, and the world is a lot more interesting. And it's not just because it's beautiful, it's done in like a documentary style, and I love that when Bagheera is like going through the rainy season and going through all of that, and like all the characters like have a duty to protect this place, and it's kind of like a Lion King story in a way. And Shere Khan is like the Scar of this place, and Akela is like the Mufasa. And I love the way it's done. Baloo has some great moments. King Louie has some great moments, though it is creepy when he does sing "I Want to Be Like You." I like the way they do Scarlett Johansson's Kaa. I don't really mind if they made her Kaa a girl. I don't care about that. Shere Khan is intense, and they give him a backstory. Instead of just wanting to hunt Mowgli because he's a man, he doesn't like that. He actually has a backstory of that his father burned his face and basically gave him his own scar. That's great storytelling, and so it impacted the story while still having the character moments and stuff you always loved about the original. So I love this movie. But I guess you could say the only problem I have with the film is that it feels like you're supposed to know everything. You're supposed to know who these characters are, and you're supposed to know the world. But, and that's really the only negative, but overall, I love this movie. Now, this is personally one of my favorite Christmas movies of all time. It's just impacted with Will Ferrell's humor, as he's just such a very funny guy, and even as an elf, he's still a very funny guy, and the characters around him start to like him, and then, like, it's just a very positive film on Christmas. It's one of the funniest films I've ever seen, and I don't really know what else to say. It's just so good. It's just so funny. Now, this is a movie that really impacted the MCU. It started this whole franchise of 11 years or 12 years or something like that, and it set up something very great. But what made this film so impactful is Robert Downey Jr., where he came off of, getting out, being arrested and doing drugs. But this is the big payoff for him, as he played this role of Iron Man as Tony Stark amazingly. It introduced some characters that you liked. It had some cool action, not much of it though. The villain is great with Obadiah Stane, played by Jeff Bridges. Overall, it was a great film. I don't know what else to say. It's a great movie overall. So that's my ranking of all the Jon Favreau movies. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Definitely like, comment, and subscribe. All my social media stuff is in the about section over there. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.